and for the opportunity to serve its people, representing the heart and voice of Oskaloosa. We pause in prayer, dear Father, to acknowledge the responsibility and privilege before us. May our discussions be guided by your wisdom, our deliberations and proposals marked by understanding, and our decisions rooted in compassion. We ask for clarity of thought and discernment as we address important matters relative to our wonderful city, that every perspective may be heard and valued with an open mind and open heart, that our focus remains steadfast on the well-being of each and every member of our community, striving always for solutions that uplift and benefit all. May our hearts be open to the needs of all of our neighbors, and may our discussions be filled with charity and mutual respect. May everyone in this chamber be inspired by your Holy Spirit to seek the common good in all our decisions, remembering especially those who are most vulnerable. Help us to be instruments of justice and compassion, working together to build a community where all can flourish and thrive, reflecting your love for each and every one of us. May we foster an environment where progress and the greater good are our shared aspirations. Grant us the strength to serve with integrity, the humility to listen with open hearts, and the vision to build a brighter future for Oskaloosa. We ask this in the name of Jesus our Lord. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Charlie Comfort, would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Charlie. Thank you. Back to the old days. That was good. Roll call, please.
Ross,
Here.
Hudson,
Here.
Ibrahim,
Here.
Ocean,
Here.
Allman,
Here.
Pellegeri.
Here. Okay, thank you. First item up is the opportunity for community comments. This item is reserved to receive comments from the community for concerns whether or not they're included in the current agenda. The community is encouraged to speak before the mayor and city council, asked to keep statements brief, time limited to no more than 3 minutes. Any questions should be asked of the city staff prior to talking to the council members or the mayor, so perhaps answers can be received prior to speaking to the full council. Comments are to be directed to the mayor and city council only. Is there anyone who would like to speak tonight?
Thank you. Barry Martin, Oskaloosa. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Council. I would like to first start off by extending my gratitude to Charlie for his service both here and on the school board, and formally announce that I will not seek, nor will I accept the nomination of my party. Secondarily, I actually rise in order to support the contract that is going to be on your agenda today between the YMCA and the city. Just give you a little context on that. Last summer when we had a similar arrangement, we were able to offer free swim lessons to the community through a grant from YMCA USA. We received a similar grant this year, but it's a much smaller grant, and so we will be using a little bit less pool time and offering a few less swim lessons. But last year we were able to do 450 free swim lessons at the Emerson pool, and another couple of hundred at the 3rd Street location. In addition to that, the partnership between the city and the YMCA is strong. We offer our pool up to Evanston staff for the summer. They've been doing their trainings at the 3rd Street location as part of sort of a mutual agreement that we're working on the same team. And so this is just part of that I'd like you to support the contract if there's any doubt as to the strength of our partnership. So thank you all.
Okay, thank you.
Good evening, everybody. Nick Ryan. I am here tonight not to argue the finer points or the details of any of this, but just to raise a bigger concern about process priorities and public trust. Tonight, the consent agenda included 2 items that, frankly, I think deserve full public discussion and not rubber stamping. One was a resolution to set a public hearing date on the land deal with Musco, with a Musco-affiliated LLC for city-owned property. Kind of thing that affects public infrastructure, long-term control of our downtown. Even if it is only about setting the public hearing date, the decision to tuck that into the consent agenda still kind of sends the message, don't worry about it. The $1 transfer, I may have a couple issues with that as well, but kind of how I feel that should have been handled is Sean and maybe somebody in development at Musco should present a presentation to the full council. You guys discuss whether or not you think it's a good idea to move forward with, and then if so, then somebody can make a motion to set a date for a public hearing. Not the other way around. Also tonight in the consent agenda, we're being asked to approve a side business for the city manager. Very excited that you're here, Sean. But the taxpayers here in Oskaloosa pay you a pretty stout salary to be here, and if you have spare time to be engaged in some kind of professional activity, me personally, I would prefer that was in service to the city. You know, this isn't about being anti one thing or another. It's just about being pro transparency, pro taxpayer, and pro accountability. And tonight, I feel like the consent agenda once again fell short of delivering that. The public is paying attention. We're not asking for much, just honest, open process where decisions that affect the city aren't made quietly and are made in the margins of the consent agenda. So those 2 items, I would like to see those hopefully pulled from consent agenda, put on the regular agenda tonight. Thank you all for your time.
Okay.
Hello, Mr. Mayor, Council. My name is Jeff Rogers. I'm CEO of Oskaloosa Lighting. Here tonight to again say thank you and offer appreciation for everybody's patience as we work through the new building construction project across the street here. Good news, we are going to open up the street and the parking garage on July 7th for traffic. Again, appreciate everybody's help on that. It's turned out to be a wonderful project. I think everybody's going to be really pleased with how it's turned out. Also would like to talk a little bit about the information that you have in your packet that you're going to be looking into the development agreement where Musco is going to assume responsibility for $1. The parking lot northwest is of the existing mall, and then we'll have the opportunity to spend about $1 million to refurbish that facility so that it's suitable for public use. It will continue to be available for public use, but also be used for parking for our employees on that part of our complex. Would also like to advise council that we are going to begin demolition of a building that's west of our existing test facility. Used to be known as the Wakes Building back in the day, and between there and the railroad, it's I believe also known as the Spencer Building. We're going to begin demolition of that facility somewhere around mid-June. We will construct a new 30,000 square foot product development facility that will be open for business about the third quarter of 2026. So again, mainly wanted to give you some updates and some background on what we're doing and how it's moving forward. So thank you.
Thank you. Does anyone else care to speak tonight? Okay, moving on. Next up is to consider the adoption of the consent agenda as presented or amended. I did want to draw council attention to item H. This is a resolution that fixes the date of public hearing for the purchase, sale, and development agreement with Industrial Development LLC and providing for the publication. And as mentioned before, this just sets the hearing. Item I is a resolution setting the date for a public hearing on charges of selling tobacco to a minor. That hearing is on June 16th, the same as the one for the resolution fixing the date with Industrial Development LLC. And then there, in a prior conversation tonight, there was one of the council members that approached me wanting to discuss item J, having to do with the city manager's local government careers LLC. So anyway, do I have a motion of approval for the consent agenda without item J?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, any discussion?
Could we have the city attorney comment on the public hearing?
Okay. Which one?
Which one?
The one with
Industrial.
industrial development or honestly,
Yeah, I
public
would-
hearing, setting
Any-
dates for public
I
hearings.
would like some more information.
Any
on
public
that,
hearing.
too.
Well,
Because there's a process.
yeah, obviously the code requires that before the city can sell real estate, you've got to have a public hearing on the thing. As I understand the resolution now, it's simply setting the hearing date on that, but obviously there does have to be a public hearing at which notice will be posted, so obviously anybody who has any concerns can certainly come before council and voice those concerns.
Right, and that's when we have the discussion of that item.
Pardon?
And then
No,
that's when we.
absolutely.
Yeah.
You know, you take a look, do we think this is a good idea, or no, we don't think it's a good idea, or whatever. That's the opportunity, obviously, for the public to have all their input on the thing, certainly make their wishes and desires known, and then for the council to debate it and determine what the council wishes to do.
So the public hearing is set for June 16th?
Correct.
So that would be the second council meeting of June?
I assume that's right, I don't have the calendar in front of me.
Okay. One of my pet peeves is when people don't put a day and then the date.
Yeah. And-
You know, because it matters a lot, because if it's Sunday, that's a whole different thing than if it's Monday.
Yeah.
And I don't have a calendar running in my head. So, okay, so it's setting for a city council meeting
Yes.
on June 16th.
Yes, which once again is required by state law before a city can ever sell real estate.
Okay.
Any other comments?
Mayor, I'm just gonna ask that item be removed and considered separately.
Okay.
Which one?
Okay. So we'll
Item H.
pulling off H and pulling off J. Let's see, the motion came from Joe, is that correct?
Yeah,
Yep, and that's okay with you?
yes.
Okay. Who?
I second, yes.
Second from Janet. Okay. Any other comments? Roll call, please.
Hermsen,
Yes.
Ibrahim,
Yes.
Ocean,
Yes.
Almond,
Yes.
Calgery,
Yes.
Drops,
Yes.
Okay, that passes. Let's start with item H then. Any further discussion on it?
I just asked that it be pulled just simply based on comments. I don't think there's any issues with it, but again, there's no decision made tonight. It's just setting the date for when the discussion happens. The proposed development agreement is attached to the packet, I believe.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And all the details are there. I mean, so again, the way I see it is that the public has a month from today to consider, to review, to ask questions. City staff, I believe, is more than happy to answer any questions, but since it was brought up, I just figured we might as well just make it clear and consider it separately.
Any other comments from council?
Has this been done often, the $1 purchase price? I've not seen it in my term.
We did it on.
Parking lots are not typically
Yeah.
something that people are anxious to buy.
Right, but parking is a huge concern in this town.
Mhm.
I have people who won't talk to me over parking. The police chief has said the same thing, so and just buying anything for $1 is.
Yeah, so in essence, it's a trade, and I'm sure you read that in the agenda.
Yeah.
You know, and so with the guarantee of public access to it, I think that would enter into the council's consideration.
And I suppose with Hy-Vee, being short of parking, was there any considerations for, I mean, they can voice their opinion too.
We have talked, and I'm sorry to interrupt,
Oh,
we have talked previously with Hy-Vee.
Okay.
Obviously, it's kind of an albatross around the city's
Yeah.
neck.
They came to me because they
and-
didn't have a place to put their floral a couple years
Oh.
ago. You guys remember that? And I
True,
was just- that's what I was
true.
just concerned.
No, and when Bob was speaking, I would have my hopes up that they were going to buy the Hy-Vee parking lot too.
And they
I'm
couldn't
glad
afford,
that-
I know, I talked to them, okay, but I just,
Yeah.
yeah, I knew that there was an issue with them needing space for
Sure.
plants and stuff at one time too. We talked about that.
Okay.
But again,
What-
tonight, we're just setting a public hearing for that.
Okay. Further comments?
We
We
need a
don't.
motion on it.
Does anyone want to make the motion to
So
set the
moved.
hearing?
Second.
Okay. Any further discussion? Roll call.
Hermsen,
Yes.
Ibrahim,
Yes.
Ocean,
Yes.
Almond,
Yes.
Calgery,
Yes.
Drops,
Abstain?
Okay. Now, let's see here. To consider approval of the city manager operating a side business called Local Government Careers LLC. Sean, do you want to kind of You and I have had the conversation on it. I think it's okay, but would you please inform the rest of the council some of the things we talked about?
Sure. This is something I started not terribly long ago. Basically, it's just an effort to try and promote local government. I have a podcast right now called Local Government Careers, and in that I'm just interviewing different positions throughout local government. It could be a police officer, it could be, just interviewing them so that someone that's interested in local government can then go and watch it and learn about that position. So really just promoting local government. I think it should be a positive thing for Oskaloosa. I'm not making any money on it. Maybe I will one day, but that's not why I'm doing it. So I just thought, what could I do, that could be something that's lasting in the future, and put my own mark on it. So that's what I'm doing.
So I guess so down the road, if you were to change this to an income or then that would come back to us, correct? If you were, or we need to.
I think if it had any sort of, like it was taking a certain, quite a bit of time, I would let you know then. But it's pretty low key. I would say like a couple of hours a week right now. The intention is not for it to become something that's bigger. It's more, I would call it more of a hobby than
Educational.
education and something I'm passionate about. So yeah, if it were ever something that would impact what I'm doing here, I would definitely come back.
And I know that's something we negotiated in your contract, and that, because a number of people will do like an adjunct teaching and that.
It's just like that. Yeah,
So,
just a little amount.
and I didn't realize we had that restriction before in the contract. I was kind of impressed you found that. And I know our hiring group
Yeah,
that
they're
found
city-
you, she's city manager in Bondurant, one of the leaders, so it's a typical side venture,
There's a lot of city managers that have
yeah.
little side things that they do
Right.
occasionally.
But I can understand the community's concern. You see running a side business, and it's like, what is going on here?
Yeah, usually for me, it's, I get home from work, I get my kids, hang out with them, getting them to bed, and then I do this in an hour or two if I feel like I have energy to do it. So that's cool.
I listened to an episode. I thought it was informative.
Oh, did you?
Job well done. Of course I did.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Right.
So, do we have a motion of support?
So move.
Second.
Okay. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Hermsen,
No.
Ibrahim,
Yes.
Ocean,
Yes.
Almond,
No.
Algeria,
Yes.
Drops,
Yes.
Okay, that passes. Moving on. That gets us through the consent agenda. Item A is a proclamation signing for Mental Health Awareness Month. There's a proclamation I've signed today for Mental Health Awareness Month, where it reads, whereas mental health is essential to everyone's overall health and well-being, and whereas mental illnesses are real and prevalent in our nation, and half of us will have a mental health diagnosis at some point in our lives. And whereas all Americans experience times of difficulty and stress in their lives and should feel comfortable in seeking help and support to manage these times. And whereas engaging in prevention, early identification, and early intervention are effective ways to reduce the burden of mental illnesses as they are to reduce the burden of other chronic conditions. And whereas there's a strong body of research that identifies behavioral health risks and supports specific tools that all Americans can use to protect their health and well-being. And whereas with effective treatment, all individuals with mental illnesses, even serious mental illnesses, can make progress towards recovery and lead full, productive lives. And whereas each business, school, government agency, healthcare provider, organization, and citizen has a responsibility to promote mental health and well-being for all. Now therefore, I, Mayor Dave Creutzfeldt, do hereby proclaim May as Mental Health Awareness Month in Oskaloosa and assign this 19th day of May 2025. Is there anyone who would like to speak to this?
Hi, so my name is Brittany Hoover and I am NAMI, Central Iowa's Executive Director. NAMI stands for National Alliance on Mental Illness, and we are a nonprofit organization that offers free support groups to adults struggling with their mental health and for their families. And we cover 11 counties, with Mahaska being one of those counties. And I want to say I appreciate your support of this proclamation. You signed it last year, and again, and Oskaloosa has been very supportive. The library has allowed us to do a mental health awareness month display. So I just truly appreciate the support that the city has had. So I truly appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, any questions? Okay, thank you again. Okay. Moving on, item B. This is to consider a resolution of appreciation for at-large city council member Charlie Comfort. We'll get to that point. The resolution in question, well, first off, the introduction. So Charlie served on the city council for 3 years, from January of 2022 through May of 2025. And this resolution recognizes him for his service to the city of Oskaloosa as a council member. The resolution reads as follows, whereas, as a member of the City Council of the City of Oskaloosa, Iowa, from January 2022 through May 14 of 2025, Charlie Comfort has served the City of Oskaloosa with honor and distinction. Through his conduct and high sense of public trust, he has earned the respect and appreciation of the citizens of the City of Oskaloosa. And whereas Charlie Comfort provided leadership by offering valuable input on numerous policies, he also served on various boards, committees, and commissions, including the Oskaloosa Planning and Zoning Commission, Oskaloosa Historic Preservation Commission, Oskaloosa Airport Commission, and the Oskaloosa Board of Adjustments, demonstrating his unwavering commitment to the community. Now therefore, be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Oskaloosa, Iowa, by the City Council of the City of Oskaloosa, Iowa, in a meeting assembled on the 19th day of May 2025, by the adoption of this resolution, permanently records sincere appreciation for the service rendered by Charlie Comfort as a member of the Oskaloosa City Council, and for the privilege that has been ours to have served with him. Do we have a motion of support?
Second.
Okay, any discussion? Heck of a guy. Roll call, please.
Ibrahim,
Yes.
Ocean,
Yes.
Coleman.
Yes.
Calgery,
Yes.
Drops,
Yes.
Hertzman.
Yes.
Okay, that passes.
The little one behind you. I should have come to shake hands too.
She's mad.
Yeah. Did we get a shake your hand? Thank you.
Thanks, Charlie.
Yep. The signed resolution suitable for framing will be mailed to Charlie at a future date. Postage due, by the way. Oh, okay.
I love it.
Okay, item C. This is a resolution in support of the workforce housing tax credits that are application is to be submitted to the Iowa Economic Development Authority by Oskaloosa Multifamily LLC for a multi-residential housing development in Oskaloosa. Hubble Realty. They have an option to purchase a site at the southwest corner of Gateway Commercial Park for a multifamily residential development project containing approximately 50 townhouse units or a mix of 60 townhouse and apartment units. They're seeking to use workforce housing tax credits, and those are available in our final year of the Thriving Communities designation that Oskaloosa holds. The program provides a refund of sales, service, or use taxes paid during the construction, and a 10% state investment tax credit that's related to construction up to $1 million. The program requires a resolution of support from the city with a local match of at least $1,000 per housing unit. Worthy of note, Oskaloosa's housing study indicates a shortage of approximately 700 rental housing units in our community. The proposal directly aligns with our comprehensive plan and strategic goals to expand our local housing supply. And so there is a recommendation from staff to approve the resolution. Do you have a motion of support?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, any discussion on this?
That workforce, isn't that from what the governor decided, that workforce economic plan or something? Is that part of that?
Could
Or
be,
should have
Yeah.
too. That workforce, I forget what it was called, that the governor signed last year, I think it was. ring a bell?
It does, the workforce housing tax credit has been around
Oh, okay,
for
then
many
it's something
years,
else.
so I don't believe this is a new program.
Oh, okay.
This is part of our thriving communities designation, right?
That, well, yes, so that makes the application more attractive,
Yeah.
because
Right.
they will
Yep.
get additional scoring credit for that.
Okay.
Roll call.
Ocean,
Yes.
Almond,
Yes.
Caligiuri,
Yes.
Strauss,
Abstain?
Hermson,
Yes.
Ibrahim.
Yes. Okay, that passes. Item D, considering a resolution to remove special assessments from the property located at 806 North H Street. This property was abandoned and a nuisance to the community, and as a result, the city attorney filed a petition in district court seeking a ruling that the city receive title to the property, as is allowed by Iowa Code Section 657A.10a. District court ordered, adjudged, and decreed that the property be awarded to the city. Before the property was awarded to the city as an abandoned property, there were several nuisance abatements that were completed and assessed to taxes. So on October 16th of 2023, Resolution 23-10-138, $1,401 there. October 16th of 2023, another resolution, 23-10-137, that was $919. February 20th of 2024, Resolution 240217, that one was for $1,009. And on March 18th of 2024, that was Resolution 240323, and that nuisance abatement was $850. So once the title is clear of special assessments, then staff can proceed with disposing of the property consistent with council policy. Staff has requested council approve removing all the special assessments and send a letter to the Mahaska County Treasurer to complete removing the special assessments. Do I have a motion of support for this?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? Roll call, please.
Almond,
Yes.
Caligiuri,
Yes.
Strauss,
Yes.
Hermson,
Yes.
Ibrahim.
Yes.
Ocean,
Yes.
Okay, that passes. Item E, this is to consider a resolution appointing UMB Bank of West Des Moines, Iowa to serve as the paying agent, note registrar, and transfer agent, approving the paying agent and note registrar and transfer agent agreement, and authorizing execution. The services that this bank would provide are necessary for us to comply with the rules, regulations, and requirements governing the registration, transfer, and payment of the newest notes that we're going to be issuing. The resolution appoints the UMB Bank NA as the registrar. Do we have a motion of support?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? Roll call, please.
Caligiuri,
Yes.
Strauss,
Yes.
Hermson,
Yes.
Ibrahim.
Yes.
Ocean,
Yes.
Almond,
Yes.
Okay. Item F. This is to consider a resolution approving and authorizing a form of loan agreement and authorizing and providing for the issuance of $2,810,000 of general obligation capital loan notes, Series 2025A, and levying a tax to pay the said notes, approval of the tax exemption certificate, and continuing the disclosure certificate. So the resolution approves and authorizes the loan agreement, the issuance of the notes, levying the tax, and then the exemption certificate sets out a number of facts, promises, obligations that have to be met and agreed to by the city. The continuing disclosure certificate outlines the disclosures that have to be made during the life of the notes, and the loan agreement, boy, they're lengthy, and are available at the city clerk for your review. The interest rate on this $2,810,000 rounds to 3.75%. Do we have a motion of support?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, any discussion on this? Roll call, please.
Strauss,
Yes.
Hermson,
Yes.
Ibrahim.
Yes.
Ocean,
Yes.
Almond,
Yes.
Caligiuri.
Yes.
That passes. Okay, item G. This is to consider the resolution approving the agreement between the City of Oskaloosa and Mahaska County YMCA. As Barry mentioned earlier in his comments, we've got a proposal for summer swimming lessons consisting of the Edmondson Pool from June 3rd of 2025 through August 14th of 2025. And so to ensure the success and safety of the sessions, The Y would like to provide the swim instructors, while the city of Oskaloosa supplies the lifeguards and allows the use of the pool. City and YMCA personnel believe that this collaborative effort between the Y and the city will greatly benefit the community by providing invaluable swim lesson instruction to local youth, thereby instilling vital life skills and promoting a healthy lifestyle. In 2024, the YMCA was able to provide over 400 swim lessons to the youth of Mahaska County through a similar agreement that was between the Y and the city. Staff is recommending this. Do we have a motion of support?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, any discussion?
It's where my boy learned to swim. There.
Great program to have.
Yeah, my dad still has my Y certificate for the 70s that I passed. So I think it's more detailed then, but very important.
Okay, roll call, please.
Abraham?
Yes.
Ocean?
Yes.
Alden?
Yes.
Audrey?
Oh, yes. You lost your voice there. Didn't sound like that was good.
Yeah, we all took a little walk down memory lane there.
He's trying to remember where his
Some of us
certificate was.
Scary swim lessons.
Joe, they didn't even have a Y when you were a kid, right? I mean,
Yeah, he did.
It's been around for over 100 years.
Yeah, they were still inventing water.
Yeah.
So anyway, okay, so
Hot water bottles.
moving on, item H. This has to do with considering a resolution approving a vacation and sale of a 16.5 foot by 153.9 foot section of the east-west alley adjacent to 901 E Avenue West. So staff did receive an alley vacate request from Burrell Elites. Bob Burrell is the owner of the property located at 901 E Avenue West. It's for the alley, as described. Mr. Burrell listed the reasoning for the request as, we're just purchasing the lot to the south of it and would like to put townhouses on the lots. It would increase the size. Subject alley is located in a residential R2 zoning district. Planning and Zoning Commission considered this request at their meeting on May 6th of 2025, recommended approving the alley vacate by a vote of 7-0. Staff conducted a survey of the property owners and utility companies that have direct access to the portion of the alley. None of the adjacent property owners who responded were opposed. Two, however, submitted applications to purchase their half of the alley. In a survey of utility companies, several indicated there is infrastructure there, so an easement would be required to maintain access. And so it isn't listed here in the descriptor for the agenda item, but back on April 21st, we passed a resolution scheduling a public hearing for this meeting. And then it was published in the Oskaloosa Herald on May 10th that we would have a public hearing on this item. And as Dave mentioned, the sale of real estate is something you gotta have a public hearing on. So, we're gonna have a public hearing. So I'll open the public hearing. Is there anyone who would like to speak to this? Okay, seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. Do we have a motion of support for the vacation and sale of the alley?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, any discussion?
so the other owners to the other side wanted, so was with them wanting to purchase their part of the alley, does that split the alley? So did they get part and the Burrells got part, or how does that?
They buy the other half.
They do, okay.
Mm-hmm.
If they didn't want to, then could they have bought the whole alley? I mean, I'm just curious how that,
Yes.
okay, so,
Yes.
okay.
Yeah, if they don't, then the other
Okay.
owner can buy.
All right, very good.
Okay. Any other questions? Roll call, please.
Abraham?
Yes.
Ocean?
Yes.
Alden?
Yes.
Audrey?
Yes.
Strauss?
Yes.
Urson?
Yes.
Okay, that passes. Item I. This is to consider a resolution providing notice of intent to fill the council at large vacancy by appointment. Charlie Comfort officially announced his resignation from the city council effective May 14th. His term ends on December 31st of 2025. Iowa Code Section 372.13 outlines the process of filling a council vacancy by the remaining members of the board. Item 1. After proper publication of notice, the council may opt to appoint a new at-large representative. Applications and resumes considered for appointment are due by May 27th at 4:00 p.m. at the city clerk's office, or by way of email to the city clerk, with an expected appointment at the June 2nd, 2025 council meeting. Applications can be obtained from the city clerk's office or the city website. In addition to learning about candidates through the application process, the council may adopt to interview candidates at the June 2nd, 2025 meeting. It is at 6 o'clock. It's here at City Hall. So if you are an applicant, please plan to be in attendance at this meeting if council has any question. And then to be eligible to apply, of course, you have to be eligible to vote, a resident of Oskaloosa, and your mailing address has to be a physical address. It's not a P.O. box thing. Second, if preferred, the council can opt to hold a special election. Third, if the council fails to make an appointment within 60 days after a vacancy occurs, a special election will be held. And then item 4, if within 14 days after publication of the notice, or within 14 days after the appointment is made, there is a petition filed with the city clerk which requests a special election to fill the vacancy. An appointment to fill the vacancy is therefore temporary, and the council shall call a special election to fill the vacancy. Such a petition would require at least 1,000 signatures, or at least the number of signatures equal to 15% of the voters who voted for candidates for office at the preceding regular election at which the office was on the ballot, whichever number is fewer. If this item is approved as currently presented, staff will proceed with publication of notice that the City Council intends to fill the at-large vacancy by appointment. The appointment of the vacancy is expected to occur at the June 2nd, 2025 council meeting. Do we have a motion of support for this?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, any discussion?
It's a great opportunity for someone who has an interest to understand what it's about without a lot of pressure.
Well, it could be. So there's possibility of speaking before the council with interview questions.
Absolutely.
I just want people to know,
Yep.
it's not just on paper.
Yeah, in fact, I would think it's probably very likely that the council would have every reason to be asking questions of folks who are wanting to.
How do we vote? Is it an open roll call vote?
Yes, it will be.
Okay.
Yep. Everything about this will be open session-ish.
Okay. Just want that, clear.
Yep.
So.
Yep.
Okay.
Ask Bob, he went through it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't have to do when I did it, there's a year and a half left, and I was interviewed by a member of the city council, and then the recommendation was made, and then I was appointed by the council at the time. So again, roll call vote.
Okay.
So,
but you didn't answer questions before the entire.
I did not. I did not have to stand at the podium and answer questions.
However, when I was.
That's been 7 years ago.
Yeah.
Okay, and I didn't know
Already.
if process had changed, if we changed process for this,
And this, as far as I'm concerned, this is a reasonable process if we have multiple applicants. When I was appointed interim mayor, I did exactly that. I stood at the podium and fielded questions that came from council. And so it struck me as a fair thing to do.
Okay. And since we only have 6, obviously, that's why we're doing that. If there's a tie in the council vote, are you the deciding vote?
Nope. It would carry over to the next meeting.
Just like this one. Or, yeah.
Okay.
No, that was different. Never mind.
For what it's worth, I'll be in Australia, so we'll see if I teams into that. So maybe.
Okay. Any other questions?
Yeah.
Roll call, please.
Ocean,
Yes.
Molman.
Yes.
Allegeri.
Yes.
Strauss.
Yes.
Hermsen.
Yes.
Ibrahim.
Yes.
Okay, that passes. Item J. Let's consider an ordinance to amend chapter 10.48.240 having to do with no parking zones. This is a carryover from the last meeting. You may remember we had a tie vote, and Charlie Comfort had voted yes at that point. So staff received a request to remove the parking restriction on Gurney Street from True Blood Avenue to Rosenberger Avenue. Currently, parking is restricted from 8 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. along the east side of Gurney Street. Traffic Safety Commission was informed and were not opposed to the removal of the restrictions in regards to traffic safety. Adjacent property owners were surveyed with 5 responses received, 2 in favor of the parking restriction removal, 3 opposed to the parking restriction removal. A full document showing the ordinance changes is attached to the item and can be summarized as follow. It would remove the no parking zone number 139 from 8 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. along the east side of Gurney Street from True Blood Avenue to Rosenberger Avenue. And then changes the subsequent numbering, so from 139 now it becomes 140 on down the line. Staff has recommended consideration of the responses from the adjacent property owners and then either approve or deny the first reading of the ordinance. There was one question that came up before I asked for support, and that does this remove the time restriction on no parking, or does it remove the no parking altogether?
There would be no parking, there would not be any restrictions to parking on this road if
So
the
the-
resolution is.
So that whole sign comes out, the
Yes.
no parking and the time below.
You'd be
Okay.
able to park there freely at any time.
Okay.
Okay.
So we have that understanding. Do we have a motion of support for this?
I drove down the road several times. I told the boo, and there's some concerns. If you read a couple of the things that the people wrote about backing out and trying to see, and there's some. I'll just say there's some people that have lived on that road quite a long time, and there was 3 people that were opposed, and there was 2 that were for it, and some others didn't respond. But kids are creature of habit. They're going to park. If we remove them, obviously you're not going to probably get students. So as respectful as I just don't think it's a good idea to remove the signs. That's a personal.
So far we do not have a motion, and so.
Is that a motion to deny? Do you
so
need a
no
motion
change?
to support or deny?
Well,
I'll make a motion to deny.
I don't think we needed a motion to deny.
Yeah, I don't think we do.
Yeah. So
I mean,
I'd say it fails for lack of a
status,
motion
yeah.
unless last chance, everybody.
well, my thought was the city, we're pretty consistent in regards to our no parking on these streets, mostly on the east side of the street, the north-south streets, right? Like we just did the North B. This street here, I would leave the no parking, but I would take off the time.
So you think it should be no parking all the time?
All the time.
Right. That's consistent with all our other streets. Is it not?
We do have 3-hour parking.
On downtown,
Right.
but I'm talking about out in the neighborhoods, the residential areas.
Right. I do believe we have a couple other areas that have specific time restrictions. Most of those are more like during the night to make sure streets are cleared for street sweepers.
Right.
I would have to do a little more research to see if there's another.
So Sean, I
one.
know we have the no parking during races, and then I know over by the high school, there's the no parking, like seeing that for the, I don't know if
Well,
they used to
you
give
got
high school kids.
North
that
A,
parking.
North B, North C, D, E, they all have no parking on the east side of the street. And up in that area too, some of the streets running north-south I'm talking about, would have no parking.
But I don't think they're requesting it to be, the ones that are opposed it just don't want it from 8 to 3:30, obviously to keep the students from.
I have not received a specific request to make a more restrictive.
Okay,
parking
yeah, right.
Okay. So I'm seeing a failure to get a motion. Okay, so it fails for lack of a motion. That gets us to the end of the regular agenda. Get through that. Okay. Reports from city staff. City manager, anything?
Yeah, I've got a few items. The strategic plan survey results, I've got all of those, so thank you for taking the time to do that. At the next council meeting, I will bring that back. I'll share the results with you with some recommendations of how to move forward with some of those things and kind of an approach we could take to whittle it down a little bit. So that'll be coming here. Another item I wanted to mention is that I've been able to meet each of the county supervisors, and it's been good. We've had good discussions, and there's a couple of things they have interest in trying to fix and resolve and move forward on. So one of them is the law enforcement building agreement. I think you guys probably already are aware of that, but it's outdated and it needs some work forward, right?
We've been saying that for a while.
But not news for you guys. Another one they brought up was the 911 dispatch board that they have some concerns about. And then the 911 dispatch payment as well. And so I just wanted to bring that up today, just so you're aware that I'm gonna start talking about those things with them and see if I can't come up with some good solutions for them together. So another one that I thought would be good to just mention, I think we've kind of discussed this maybe a little bit, is the outdoor pool has quite a few issues, and it's something that needs to be discussed. And we were going to put it on this agenda, but we needed to do just a little bit more work to make sure that when we bring that to you, you have some options to choose from. So that'll be. And then the last thing I just wanted to mention, you all may already know this, but if there's ever a time that you would like to request an agenda item, I saw in our policies that it would just take 2 people to request an item. Is that, you guys already probably know that, but I mentioned that just because I think you mentioned the golf cart discussion at the last council meeting.
Yeah,
that you're interested in having. And so I thought
my concerns are growing.
Yeah. So I thought I'd bring that up as just like if there is something that you would like to discuss, just get one other council member to.
Is that the way it has to be, Dave, or can a single council?
No,
member-
I think that's just policy, what we've informally adopted and
Okay.
said this is the case. I would think if the mayor or city manager want to put anything on the agenda, I think they can do so without having 2 folks.
So it needs two people.
Pardon?
It does need 2 people.
Well, that's just the policy we've adopted. That's not carved in stone.
Okay, I didn't know if it was like Robert's Rules of Order, you usually have to have 2 people.
No, that's an informal policy
Okay.
we've adopted, so.
Okay.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure if you have something that you want to address, I don't want you to feel like, it's being ignored or something. So that's, just need 2 people, either send me an email, you could say it during, this time of city council. So that's all I have.
Okay. City clerk. Say again. Okay. City attorney.
I would have nothing, thank you.
Okay. Council members. Let's start with you, Lisa.
I'm just going to reiterate the golf carts. In the 2 weeks' time, I've seen at least 8 kids bouncing along on the back of those with no, helmets, seatbelts, anything. And in that 2-week time, my grandchildren's great-grandfather died from an ATV accident. He was 90. It flipped over on him, and they felt, it's just so easy to be killed. They're not vehicles, so I don't know what we should maybe put that on the council.
Yeah,
I'm just
Sergeant Rogers.
Yeah, I know.
if an ATV passes through your purview, is there a seatbelt requirement on those things?
Yeah, I'm curious.
So my guess is yes, just because if they're equipped with one, they probably shall wear slow moving, such as like a golf cart. So like a golf cart, the top speeds of a golf cart, like weighted down with maybe a couple and their kids like 15 miles an hour tops. So other than like a Razor or like a side by side, they're going 60 plus.
Yeah,
now,
those can.
So some of those can go pretty fast. So my guess is if it's equipped with a seatbelt that you shall wear one, but we all know golf carts are equipped with seatbelts. It's just not something they have unless it's some souped up electric.
Yeah. And some of them buzz. Do they have to have at least a caution sign,
Yes,
a yield sign?
sign on the back, and then also a flag.
Okay.
So
Because that's my concern too. When the kids are sitting back there, they're covering up what should be the yield sign, and
Well, when we approved this,
Yeah.
on those I forgot when we did it, it was a flag like you mentioned and a
They're
triangle.
specific. They're specific.
They're specific.
I have a slow, in my golf cart, I have a slow moving, and I have a flag. I
Yes,
just
depending if you're riding on the roadway or the trail.
Right.
I know for the trail specifically, you need the slow moving vehicle
Right.
sign. But for the roadway, you need the flag and
Yeah.
slow moving.
yeah. And it's just the sunlight, at
And they only
sunset,
could be
they're
on
by fairway. It's really impossible to see, and
And the golf carts
Yeah.
can only be on the city roads, not A Avenue or Market. You're driving up and down on you.
well, they're on C Avenue, right in
That's
front
a
of my
city road.
house.
That's a city road.
Yeah.
Joe?
Nope, nothing.
Okay. Janet?
Yes, I believe it is. Next Friday is the first Friday after 5, so please come out and enjoy the music that we have. Also, there is volunteer opportunities, so if you are looking to help support the Chamber and Main Street, get in contact with the ladies at the Chamber.
Okay. Thank you. Bob?
I just want to say that I'm excited to see the progress being made on the Southeast Connector, Northwest bypasses. As you travel 163 west out of town and see a bunch of flags, survey stakes, even some newly installed right-of-way signs.
Trees.
Trees
Trees are not
disappearing. My understanding is DOT has all their property acquisition done for that road. I think that'll be fantastic when that gets done. You can even notice areas where crops have not been planted. So work is definitely starting there. And then the Southeast Connector, they're finalizing, I think, the final steps of the land acquisition. And I believe the county has even let bids for the grading for that. And obviously we as council have approved payments for certain things with that. But I was just talking outside Smoky Road to a woman who's a longtime business person in town, and we were just, as we're standing out there trying to talk, and the semis come flying by, and you got the noise, you got the smell, you got all those things with it, and she said, boy, it sure would be nice if we could get those out of there. And I find it interesting how few people in the community actually understand that these roads that we've talked about for decades are happening. And I think two things. Number one, yes, they are happening. Number two, big projects do take time. But just the difference that our downtown, that we're going to see in our downtown when those roads get done, and they are going to get done, I think that's a huge step forward for our community. So, and then just some of the discussion earlier, I appreciate public process. I appreciate the steps that are taken to make sure that, number one, public can be involved and public can be informed. And as I stated earlier, all the information for those items, setting public hearings, obviously there's no decision made in setting that public hearing besides setting a date. The information is out there. If you have questions, please ask our staff. Those agreements don't get written on their own. They don't get written overnight. And Sean, Chris especially can say there's been a lot of hours put into those things. So not just on the one the public hearing was set for tonight, but all the other ones that you've been involved in over the years. And we'll continue to, the Hubble Realty thing, there will probably be a development agreement with that as well, and a public hearing. So
yeah. I just wanted to reiterate about Charlie's spot. It's open and available now, correct, Alex and Pam, through May 27th. They can come here or online, correct, to apply. And I would encourage you, like Bob was saying, I don't know if you heard him, it's 3.5 years ago I said to my husband, what am I doing? But it is a very challenging at times, but it is a very important part of our city. And I think if you're someone that really truly cares and truly wants to be involved, I just throw your name in the hat. I mean, it might look scary back here, but it really isn't. And we're all individual people, and so I would encourage. I hope we get a whole handful of people to apply. I really do.
Abu?
Nothing.
Okay. Had a couple of things. One is that Sean and I had the privilege of going to the elementary school job fair. And so for 4 or 5 hours, I can't remember anymore, I guess it was from 9 to 2, we manned a table and talked to elementary kids about the joys and challenges of being in public service. And so had some very interesting, very unpredictable conversations. We had one kid come up, and one of the things that I was doing was saying, okay, when somebody comes up, I'd say, hi, my name's Dave, shake, and kids would shake hands. So we had one kid come up and say, I heard you guys are mean. It's like, oh, okay, quit doing that. And then we had another gal that we were engaged with, oh boy, I think it was 4 or 5 minutes. And she was asking a lot of questions, and Sean did a great job of answering her questions. And she finally said thank you, stamped her card, and she was gone. And then it wasn't more than 2 or 3 minutes later, we had an orange construction paper note come back to us, and written in crayon was "I love you." So anyway, it's
obviously the Sean.
It was because of me. Yeah. So anyway, it just there's a lot of curiosity out there with the younger kids, and so you always kind of question whether or not it's worth the investment of time to do that sort of thing, and it was. Just very surprised by the quality of conversations we had. Second thing, I have a couple of pictures here. They're the same, so I'll pass them down each way. But the police department got an award from the Secretary of Defense for being a patriotic employer in support of the National Guard and Reserve. And so that recognition came from as high up as a document that was signed by former Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin. And it's framed and displayed at the police department. And what it is recognition of the city of Oskaloosa being supportive of National Guard and military members as they go and do their service. Those guys are protecting the country, so the least we can do is cover their shift while we protect the city. And so anyway, I wanted to draw special attention to that. It's nice to have that kind of recognition. And I don't know if you guys saw this or not, but this is I think it's a coin or some sort of a badge anyway, and it's coming from the 1150, is that right? 1133rd Transportation Company, where their slogan, of course, nothing happens until something moves. For some reason, I found that amusing. But anyway, a lot of good things happening in the community, and so it's fun to be mayor for these sorts of things. That said, do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
We're adjourned.